What's up guys, today I'm going to review the Asus Zenfone Zoom. Stay tuned. This is their attempt at a smartphone with optical zoom, and thankfully it hasn't compromised on being a smartphone, and by that I mean it still looks like a smartphone. Let's talk about the hardware first. The Asus Zenfone Zoom has a 5.5-inch Full HD IPS display with 403 pixels per inch for those of you who are keeping count. The display is surrounded by very thick bezels which takes away from the premium look, and its poor brightness makes it hard to look at when outdoors. Below that we have the capacitive navigation buttons which are not backlit just like the Zenfone 2, but thankfully above the display the notification LED was not left out. The Zenfone Zoom is priced at a premium and it's certainly dressed for the part. The unibody aluminum frame looks good and also gives the phone a good grip. The rounded sides make it very comfortable to hold too. There are chamfered edges all around the phone with chrome accents on them and around the edges, and the camera section on the back, all adding to the phone's good looks. There's a standard micro USB 2.0 port at the bottom along with a lanyard loop to its left. On the right side, we have a two-step camera shutter button and a dedicated button for video recording. Pressing either one for a few seconds will fire up the camera app. The volume and power buttons are placed further up and have a good tactile feedback to them. The volume buttons can also be used to zoom in and out on an object when in the camera app. The back cover is removable and has a real leather finish on it, although it's easy to mistake for folks' leather. There's a massive disc in the middle where the camera assembly is. This is where Asus has managed to fit in the zoom lens in a sideways fashion similar to a periscope but horizontally. This means there's no protruding lens like Samsung's offerings, and it makes the Zenfone Zoom a bit less conspicuous when you're trying to capture some candid moments. This also makes the Zenfone Zoom the world's thinnest phone with a 3x optical zoom as claimed by Asus. Digging inside the back cover, you'll find a single micro SIM card slot and one for expandable storage via microSD card. The Zenfone Zoom has a 3000 mAh non-removable battery with Boostmaster technology, which basically is quick charging, renamed. The Zenfone Zoom comes in a fairly compact box with a lanyard, data cable, charger, and an in-ear headset. The quality of the components is very good, just as you'd expect at this price level. If you haven't already, make sure you watch my cinematic unboxing of the Asus Zenfone Zoom, as it's not something you want to miss out on. Overall, the phone is nicely built and feels premium to hold in the hand, but other than that, it could pass off as another Zenfone. The build quality and finish of the phone are very good, and kudos to Asus for managing to squeeze an optical zoom lens into a body that's just 11.9mm at its thickest point. The Zenfone Zoom is powered by a quad-core Intel Atom Z3590 and comes with 4GB of RAM and 128GB of onboard storage. We appreciate the generous amount of storage, and just in case it isn't enough for you, you can expand it by another 128GB with a microSD card. The phone ships with a pretty dated version of Android Lollipop, considering now that Marshmallow is out. It runs on Zen UI 2.0 on top of Android 5.0 Lollipop, and like we've seen in the past, you get a ton of tweakable settings and Asus apps pre-installed. There are some productivity apps like Splendid for adjusting the color temperatures and toggling the blue light filter, Audio Wizard which lets you fine-tune sound profiles, Power Saver, and more. There are some pre-installed third-party apps as well, which can be uninstalled if not needed. As functional as the interface might be to someone else, I found it a bit too cluttered. It functions smoothly, but after using lighter skins from other manufacturers, Zen UI was too overwhelming for me. In terms of performance, it's like any other high-end Android phone. Apps run without a hitch, and so do demanding games. The phone tends to run a bit warm when gaming, and this also makes a dent in the battery life. The phone scores decently in benchmarks, although it's still far behind from other phones with today's top-tier hardware. The phone cannot record 4K, which is a big downside, but it can play them with ease. If you want to listen to those videos using the included headset, you'll find that they are of good quality and provide good amount of ambient noise isolation. Finally, let's talk about the camera, which is the highlight of the phone. It has a 13 megapixel sensor with a 10-element Hoya lens. The arrangement of the lenses is done in such a way that you get 3x optical zoom without the need for the lens to extend outwards. Combine that 13 megapixel sensor with the laser autofocus and optical image stabilization, and you have a solid recipe for some good pictures. Pictures taken in good daylight look detailed on the phone's screen. Colors are punchy, although they tend to get a bit oversaturated with the optimization set to auto. Even at 3x zoom, the lens stays steady for blur-free shots, but objects in focus lose a bit of sharpness. According to me, pictures taken with the Zenfone Zoom are not up to the mark as advertised. You'll have to take them into the editing software where you'll have to bump up the contrast and stuff a bit to get acceptable results. The 3000 mAh battery just makes it through the day, with mixed use of 4G and lots of picture shooting. Thankfully, the phone supports fast charging and will get you up to 40% capacity in just half an hour. At Rs $27,999. It competes with Samsung Galaxy S6 range and the new Nexus 6P, both of which have excellent cameras. In terms of innovation, the Zenfone Zoom clearly has an edge over the others, but if you look purely at image quality, it doesn't quite surpass them. The relatively low resolution display, the older version of Android, weak battery life, and the lack of 4K recording are also factors that work against the Zenfone Zoom. In conclusion, I give the Asus Zenfone Zoom a score of 7 out of 10 with the pros and cons on screen right now. Honestly, I wouldn't buy this phone because there are similarly priced phones in the market which perform much better. If you enjoyed this review or found it to be helpful, do drop me a like down below and let me know what you think of the Asus Zenfone Zoom in the comment section. Also, I've suddenly become more active on Twitter, so follow me there. The link would be somewhere in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.